Hi, welcome to the Old Geezer's Diary. I'm Chris, and here we are in my little studio, looking at the world. And I'm trying to look at the world from kind of our point of view. Older people, that's people of my generation. I'm in my 70s. I'm looking at tidy and scruffy, which I guess is one of those things you do when you're over 70. But we're looking at things from a different point of view because I'm not convinced that the point of view we seem to take all the time in the world is not necessarily the most sensible one. The one that's really got to me the last couple of days was about bed blocking. We've had bed blocking as a major thing in the NHS for years and years now. And from my point of view, as an older person, I imagine if I were less able to come home than I am when I'm ill in hospital, and then I'm better and I'm kicked out. But if I lived on my own, if I didn't have anybody to kind of rely on when I got home, they wouldn't let me come home, would they? So there you go. So that's the definition, really, of bed blocking. If you've got a safe place to come home to, then you can go home. If you haven't got a safe place to go home to, then you can't. And that makes perfectly good sense. But it is an issue from the hospital's point of view because, of course, the hospital can't really do any more for you. They've fixed you up or whatever. And until you've got a safe place to go home to, they can't let you go home. But on the other hand, they can't treat you anymore. There's nothing else they can do for you. You've done what they can. They've fixed you up. They've done what they need to do and got you better. But they can't let you out. So I'm just wondering why we don't take another look at this one and actually try and come up with a sensible solution that actually, I don't know, that makes sense. One of the big issues, apparently, about this situation is that the people who fix up your care once you've come out of hospital are local authorities. So they, in a way, gain from kind of leaving you in hospital for a day or two more than they should. I'm sure they don't, but they might do. It's a cynical viewpoint, isn't it? But what they have to do is fix up your care. And if they can't fix up your care, you just have to sit in hospital. And what you're actually doing is laying in a bed or sitting on a bed that could be dealing with someone who's actually got a more serious illness, injury, whatever. And I just wonder whether it would be possible for local authorities who are going to carry the can home anyway to start small, let's say 20 bed, 10 bed, 20 bed locations at which you can kind of live semi independently and get the same kind of level of care that you might get from a carer at home and get a meal, etc., and get meals and then come out of hospital. Wouldn't that work? This is just a silly idea of mine, maybe, but I don't know whether it's a sensible idea. If your local authority had a 10 or 20 bed unit, they could take people in there from hospital who didn't need medical treatment anymore, who just needed a bit of care, meal, couple of meals, somewhere to sleep, somewhere safe where they're looked after to a degree, and call that, well, here's a word for it, maybe a convalescent. A convalescent, we can't call it a convalescent home because that sounds like somewhere where you're putting people, but a convalescent ward, a recovery ward. No, you can't call it that, can you? But a convalescent ward would actually be nice. And that would be somewhere where people who are no longer requiring hospital care, i.e. medical care, could go and stay for a few days while their home care was fixed up properly. Hospitals don't help themselves in some way because they will say, well, we'll keep you for another day and then we'll see what happens and so on, which is fair enough. That's what they have to do. But when they do say, but you've got to go now. And on the occasions that I've been in hospital recently, I have sadly been in a few times, been kicked out on a few hours' notice, maybe half a day, maybe a bit less than that. And if I could go to somewhere, if I was going to come home and needed to wait to have carers to come in to take care of me. Let's just see what I've got there. Someone to come in to take care of me, then, or to help me with my life, then I get that in a small care unit. That would be great. Let's see what this says. I want to see a little note here. From someone I know quite well. And this is from the excellent Alan. My sister is in this situation after a stroke. There is an acute lack of carers. She may well end up in the care home and lose her house. What she wants is to be home with the family. I think that's perfectly normal and natural, Alan. Of course she does. And I assume that what you mean with that is that the family at home can't actually care for her properly. So she can't get carers in to help her with her life, I assume you mean. The idea really is to give people a kind of what we used to have with the convalescent home, which was a halfway house. It was somewhere where you could actually go, where you would be looked after in inverted commas. You would be safe and secure because there were people there, but where you would be cared for, not medically, on a short-term basis. And as soon as your care at home was fixed up, you would go home. That's what I'm getting to. So how do you feel about that? I don't know whether I've explained it properly. I might come back to this when I start my new channel. I am planning to start a new little channel. But let's see what we can do on that. And the other thing, Alan makes a good point. Local cottage hospitals also serve this purpose, and they're all shut now. It's true. The other thing I'm getting to, though, from the NHS point of view, is that I think because people who are being discharged from hospital in this circumstance are actually going home, and then the local authority is paying carers to go and look after them, they might as well pay when their hospital care is completed. So if they were to go to a temporary care location, we could call it a cottage hospital if you like, or a temporary care location, that should be paid for by the local authority because they're going to be paying for the carers anyway. So that's another thing to get people off of the back of the NHS and to actually make more room in NHS hospitals. What do you think? Does that make reasonable sense? Let me tell you what I'm doing, because I'm experimenting with this channel. I think I'm going to come back to this topic in a couple of days and we'll have another go at it. I want to think about it some more. If you guys at home, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching later, if you'd like to think about this and let me know what you think, I would love to hear from you. I really mean it. I would love to hear from you. So get in touch with me on the Old Geezer's Diary on either Facebook or YouTube. Let me also tell you that at this moment we're also doing something else, which is I'm going to put this kind of little content onto a different channel, so it doesn't get mixed up with my kind of more domestic stuff. So we'll do that and we'll see where we go. So what I'm saying, let's just sum this up for the final time. What I'm saying is that we shouldn't have bed blockers at all. People who are finished with their hospital treatment should have somewhere temporary to be helped with their lives and to get back on their feet. We could call it a convalescent home. We could call it a convalescent centre, and it would act as a holding place while their normal care at home was being fixed up. It could be done by the local authority. Might actually be cheaper for the local authority to do it than to send carers round. I'm not entirely sure. But that's an interesting one. What do you think? I would love to hear what you think. I know that Alan, I'm sure, will come back to me on this. And if you want to come back to me on this anytime, you've got those two channels. You've got the one up above, which is our Facebook. Sorry, the one up above is our YouTube address, and the one down below is the Facebook address. Come back to me. Tell me what you think. Okay, I'm Chris. This is the Old Geezer's Diary. It's soon just going to be a show called The Old Geezer. It's going to have its own YouTube channel, and we'll see what happens next. Okay, take care. Mind how you go.